Hi there, it's Paulie here with Mia Kamadre. Yes, we are at the beach at Ao Nang in southern Thailand, as you can tell by the strange limestone islands and all the cool stuff. But, so long ago, I bought my first real kind of science fiction game, and it's quite literally been with me ever since. I carry it whenever I travel, any convention I go to, because it's one of the Metagaming pocket games. Now these things were beautiful, they were incredibly compact. Frankly, they were designed to go into a school bag. But this is my absolute favourite, Chitin 1. Chitin 1 is literally a little slice of genius. Now you can see how small these things are, very thin volumes and very compact. They were designed to go into a plastic envelope. And in fact, here is the original envelope. And everything you needed was in there. So you got a sheet of counters, which could be cut up. In this case, we got 2 sets of forces. And in this case, you also had some harvest chits. More on those later. And I also carry like a flat gem dice because it packs up flat. And it's easy for him to get his trunk around. But so, why I like this game? Because it's a spectacularly good science fiction idea, but it's also damned clever tactically. So, it drew its inspiration largely from a book called The Dragon Masters by Jack Vance, my favourite author. And it acknowledges this. It also, what does it say? Hellstrom's Hive by Frank Herbert, which oddly enough I haven't read. I've got to go find it. But that's their inspiration. Now, the idea is there is an alien planet, and on this alien planet there are civilizations of titanic insects. And it is harvest time, and these fields are covered with grain, and the workers and so on come in to harvest. But rival hives are coming into the same area to gather the same food, and they've got these massive forces of warriors to protect their harvesting teams. And that's where the fun begins. Your basic game, what you're doing is you're trying to collect as much harvest as you can and get it off the board. There are lots of scenarios in there that build on it way more than that, but that is your basic idea. So part of the essential genius in this comes from all these different genuses of insects. So there are basics. Now basics are basically your brain bugs. They are the way they've been depicted is far more kind of humanoid, and they seem to actually have like swords and so on, and they are your command and control. There are flyers, a specific type called plunge. These guys are quite mobile, obviously. They can move very rapidly, and they cannot be attacked by ground forces. They can only be attacked by ground forces if they come down to fight. But obviously they can be attacked by air forces. There are workers who are pretty easy to kill and relatively helpless, so you have to basically guard the workers. There are gantuas, which are titanic behemoths. I love those things. They can wade through rivers and so on without any penalty. They just walk through it. There's flanxers, which have 2 like huge long spear-like horns coming from their shoulders, and they are another quite powerful kind of charging unit. Love them. Gantua. There's low renders and termagants, which are kind of little guys. Oh, sorry, there's a flanks. So you've got quite a few choices of insect. Now what's important is the ground troops, each one of them gains a big bonus against one specific other type of bug. So the gantuas obviously have a huge combat potential because they're huge and they stomp and they smash and they crush, but they're very vulnerable, weirdly enough, to the low renders that can come in and attack all their knee joints and all this sort of thing. Whack. So so when you're playing, you pick your forces from a points budget, but you want to start getting very careful about what your tactical plans are. And this is why it's such a good game. Air power, you've got a counter mix in here, so obviously you can't go completely nuts. You can only use the counters you were given. But you could do things like use your air power to pick out the other guy's workers and just stop him bringing the harvest back. he might be trying to do that to you. You could protect those workers with a cap, a combat air patrol. You could put them up above and try and stop him from closing in on you. Or fight forward. If you're sending your stuff through the air to attack him, he's got to come after you. Are you going to escort the workers? Are you going to disperse your fighting line, which is keeping the other guy's army back away from your harvest teams? But you could pull units back from that and individually escort workers to stop them being picked off from above, or by having some of the really fast ground units like the termagants and so on come racing out and, you know, scooping them up. Low renders and so on, they're really good at swarming all over rough terrain. They climb all over the rocks and up the walls and everything. So, you know, ooh, these guys are great ambushers. You can set up ambushes, fight lines, but there's that constant thing where, like, all right, I've got these Gantuas and I've invested a lot of points in them and they're powerful, but they're vulnerable to, say, low renders. Right, so what are low renders vulnerable to? I'll escort the Gantuas with a couple of things that screw up low renders. And so this is where it builds and gets more and more and more clever. So this is the thing I adored about all of Metagaming's pocket games. They had very limited space, so each of these things had to be beautiful game design. Each one had to stand out, and it has to have something that really makes it pop as a game. And in this case, in Chitin 1's case, it is that beautiful combined arms tactical balance that you've got to strike, and some of those basic decisions. Am I playing a game where I'm attacking his harvest line? Am I just going straight for his main battle lines, and if I can beat that, then the harvest line is mine? You know, am I dispersing more into like weaving tactics, coming in and out of ambushes and so on? Wonderful, wonderful play. And all in such a tiny little package. So look, it came with the folded map. This one has little notes from 16-year-old me from 1978. And you can see it's divided into hexes and mega hexes. It's got rough terrain and woods and all this kind of stuff on it, streams. And it's also got the combat result chart actually on the map. Yes, it used what we used to call the comedy result chart. It was a child of the 70s. Whee! I'm a child of the 60s, but whatever. So what you did was you figured out an odds chart. How powerful is my attack in numbers versus his defense, and it gave you odds of 1-to-1, 3-to-2, 2-to-1, 3-to-1, etc, etc, etc. Now, command control is very important. The basics, if you're starting a move and you do not have one of your own basics in your mega hex, then all of your units are disrupted, which means their fighting power is halved, and they can only move, I think it's 2 hexes a turn, and they may not approach enemy troops because they're all wondering what to do. Me bug, me not sure. So you've got to be careful with that command control, and again, you want to escort those guys because, you know, Stukas can come and pinpoint all of your officers. Stab his head. So, and you want to have some command control guys back in reserve to cover casualties that you might take, otherwise you're going to stall because everything's disrupted. There's some great little minor tactical things to do, like some of the Gantuas and the phalanxes and so on can charge. If they go straight ahead, they get a movement bonus, but their combat power is doubled. However, for the next turn, they're disrupted because the charge has thrown them into chaos, so now they're very vulnerable. So you do have some other, you know, turn-by-turn choices to make. Do I want the fighting power now and take the risk? Have I got reserves? So you can operate in 2 lines. I'm going to charge, and then next turn I'm going to charge more guys past those to cover the ones that are disrupted. But, yeah, for such a tiny little game, there was just so many ideas in it. It refers very constantly to a thing called Hymenoptera. This was clearly supposed to be the first phase in a much bigger board game that the designer wanted to do. I'm sad that that game was never made because the hints of it sound great. Obviously the idea was to have many, many, many different variants of these basic types of bugs. So in this case they say plungers are the flyer type that we have in this game, but there are many others which will come out in Hymenoptera. So I would guess that what they were going to do was have specific like air-to-air bugs, specific ground attack bugs, some that can, you know, do lots of other things. They might even have air defense bugs. But yeah, so, you know, it would have been great to see. I've tried to track down the designer. never have. And so carry this everywhere, and indeed the first Gen Con I went to, I discovered that the artist of this, Janelle Jaquays, who was Paul Jaquays, was there. So I went and said, hey, look, I love this game, and just wanted to tell you I adored it. But as it had turned out, Janelle had done the cover painting for my first published novel, Muss of Curbridge. And it was a beautiful cover, so I really wanted to thank them just for the wonderful cover. And yeah, Janelle just lit up because Janelle had loved this game, which is why the artwork was so good. And she just happened to have it all on her, so she gave me the originals. You know, hey, thanks for being thanks for loving that thing. So that's in my most precious collection. So anyway, look, this is a game with brilliant bones and great little ideas. It is jam-packed full of fun and clever decision making that makes it a truly outstanding piece of game design. We've cooked up little ways of playing this solo over the years, or you know, me compadre versus me. I'd love to be able to bring out a new version of this. You can't buy this really online or anything. Metagaming just vanished, but you can download it. You can find it. It's preserved out there for free. Someone also did a giant version of it, which you can also download. You just have to do a Google search and you will find it. So it is loved, and it deserves to be. What a great piece of work. There was a miniatures set made for this, and they were by Martian Metals, and unfortunately they brought it out, got all their stock made, and their warehouse was on the Mississippi, and yeah, there were floods that year and they lost everything. They lost their entire warehouse, they lost the masters, they lost all of their stock, and that's why Martian Metals disappeared. And again, that's a shame because I would have liked to see it. So it's something that needs to come back, and I would really love to do that. And any of the old metagaming pocket games are worth tracking down. I will review others of them because some of these things are really clever sets of design work that still stand up beautifully today. Anyway, that is Chitin 1. Still loved, still enjoyed, still played. Yay! Here I am. If you're wondering what the constant droning is, there's a long-tail boats heading around there, because there is a that's Railay Beach, which tourists love to go to because the local sea gypsies have, I kid you not, a penis temple there, which tourists like to go and go, what the hell? Interesting place. So anyway, if you like the videos, subscribe, find me on Patreon, and yay, we'll keep playing, and yeah, keep rolling those dice, folks. Bye!